Glory to Jesus Christ. Friends, there's a chilling echo between the 1930s and today, an echo of moral blindness dressed in moral language. Back then, many Western conservatives and even Christian leaders, it pains me to have to say this, praised Nazi Germany. Now, they said this because they believed that Nazi Germany had restored discipline, in their words, family values, faith, and moral order after the chaos of the Weimar years. They saw Hitler's regime as a bulwark against atheistic Bolshevism and the dangers of the left. They applauded its, quote, spiritual revival, ignoring the censorship, the persecution, and the gathering storm of war. Figures like Father Charles Coughlin, a Canadian who made it big in the United States, and members of the British aristocracy, they all lauded Germany's quote-unquote renewal, as you may call it. They mistook moral language for moral reality. Father Charles Coughlin ignored Nazi elimination of Catholic political parties and organizations in Germany. This is all pre-World War II. This is still in the lead up to it. He ignored the targeting of Catholic nuns and priests. He ignored the murder of Catholic leaders. Fast forward to today. We see another illusion, this time centered on Russia. Some conservative and pro-life voices, I would call them modern-day Charles Coughlins, like John Henry Weston and Steve Jalcevic, hold up Russia as the world's defender of traditional family values, a nation that rejects abortion and homosexual indoctrination of youth on paper. But that moral language, again, masks moral horror. Why is there not a single Catholic priest functioning in the Russian-controlled territories of Ukraine? Those areas that Russia has obliterated and taken over and stolen. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Crimea. Why isn't there one Catholic priest there? Is that just a coincidence? Russia's bombs have killed at least 600 children and injured more than 1,300. Again, nothing said about this. More than 40,000 civilians are dead today. 40,000. More than 25,000 children are abducted and missing, taken to Russia. In April of this year alone, 209 civilians were killed and more than 1,000 were wounded in that 1 month. Over the course of these almost 4 years coming up in February, hundreds of churches, Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, have been reduced to rubble. At least 660 houses of worship have been hit. And yet, from some pro-life, pro-Catholic outlets, there's only silence. Not a single headline, not one moral cry for the murdered children of Ukraine, for the disappeared clergy, the obliterated churches. When LifeSite News praises Russia's pro-family stance while ignoring its killing of families, it undermines everything the pro-life movement stands for. You cannot claim to defend life and then excuse the destruction of life because the destroyer happens to echo your social agenda. And I'm speaking personally to you, John Henry, and to you, Stephen. Abortion and wartime child killing are not opposites. They are twins born of the same contempt of the human person made in the image and likeness of God. If you are followers of the living God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, then every child, every civilian, every church struck by a missile is sacred ground violated. Selective outrage, men, is not faithfulness. It's betrayal. It's a form of prostitution. In the 1930s, people were seduced by style and slogans. And today it's no different. We risk the same problem. To call ourselves, pro-life, means to defend all life, from womb to tomb, born and unborn, native, foreign, friend, enemy. Anything less is hypocrisy. And just because John Henry and Stephen or anyone else on LifeSite News, just because you're traditional Catholics, as I myself consider myself to be, just because you're traditional does not mean you're immune from the devil's attacks to bring you down and to spiritually blind you. So let's say it plainly. Moral credibility is not built on rhetoric. It's built on consistency, courage, compassion. The cost of forgetting that is always measured in graves. Always it comes down to the grave count. A short historical reflection here on how moral blindness repeats itself. In the 1930s, many Western conservatives admired Nazi Germany's moral order, praising its family and faith rhetoric, and they chose to ignore its brutality. And the exact same thing is happening with regard to Russia and its so-called traditional values, that my fellow Catholics, my fellow pro-life voices are staying silent about its slaughter of civilians and its destruction of churches. True pro-life convictions demand consistency, defending all life. And if you fail to do that, then you lose moral credibility altogether.